What is going on, my friends? We are back on the Let's Play world. Last episode, we built up this amazing building over here that has a bee farm in it. And oh man, has this thing been producing. Would you look at that? It is quite a loud farm though, but I think I'll put up with the noisiness for all of that honeycomb. Absolutely awesome. Besides that though, it is a new week, so that means time for a new episode. So let's jump on in. So first things first, like I said, it is episode 9 and episode 10, I want to do a world tour. With that being said, there's a bunch of small projects that I need to finish up around this village just to kind of polish things off. And that begins with actually finishing up a bunch of the pathways, like this one right over here. And here's a quick time lapse of that. While you guys watch this time lapse, I just wanted to thank you guys for all the love and support you guys have been showing me on this series and on my YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed, maybe hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you're feeling extra nice. But once again, thank you guys so much for sticking with me, and I got some huge plans moving forward, and not just for this series but also for a few new series that I want to start doing pretty shortly. But back to the episode. This pathway connection going to the bridge turned out great, but I feel like it's missing something right about there. The skyline is so open, and I feel like it just needs maybe like 2 or 3 custom trees. So I'm gonna grab some leaves, some logs, and some fences, and let's build ourselves some custom trees. So for starters, like most custom trees I build, I want to start with the stump, and then I'm gonna start bringing out some branches using fence posts. Going with a small pine tree design, I want to make it big at the bottom and then slowly get smaller as it gets to the top. Something like that. Now that I got the stump placed in, I'm just going to go around the branches and place in some leaves a little bit like this. Now taking a step back with all the leaves placed in, I don't necessarily love how far it sticks out right there. And then I also don't like how it just kind of looks like a big clump of leaves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some fence posts and break some leaves and place some fence posts in position for those. So something like that. Maybe get rid of that leaf, add that right there. Get rid of that leaf up there. And then maybe add in a lantern right about there just to bring some light around the tree. Now just to add a little bit more detail, I can bring some more logs around the bottom like that. And then also place some more leaves on the ground just to make it look like there's some overgrowth happening. Now with that tree done, I got 2 more to build. And with 3 trees added in, I think this area looks a whole lot better. We got kind of the medium-sized tree right there, the larger tree in the middle, and then the baby tree off to the left. I also added in this kind of huge area of overgrowth, and I want to get a few more sweet berries like that right there, and place these guys throughout just to add some color. So next up for today's episode, I want to build myself a pumpkin and melon farm. Well, actually 2 separate ones. Typically when I build these farms, I would bury them underground and just cover them up. But something I've been trying to do in this world is actually build a building around them, just like the bee farm. It gives me an excuse to build a building and also add something to the skyline. So I have this area right here where I was working with the bees, and I think it's actually a perfect spot for this pumpkin and melon farm. And like I said, I'm going to build a building around it. And then around that building, just because it's almost Halloween, I feel like I should build a pumpkin patch. And not just any pumpkin patch, a spooky pumpkin patch. So I got an inventory full of items, which means it's time to start building. So after doing a little bit of terraforming and flattening the land out, I got started with building the platforms. These platforms are going to be used to hold the rails, and then the pumpkin and melon farm is going to be above it. And man, did these end up being a little bigger than I expected them to be. So with the rails all finished up, I started working on the platform that will actually do the automated work. This works by putting some observers next to some pistons, and when a pumpkin grows, the observer will read it, and then the piston will come down and break the pumpkin or melon. It took over 80 pistons and over 80 observers to do this. Well, actually, I think 80 exactly. But I like building these farms because they're really simple and they're not too in-depth when it comes to building them. So moving on to the final part of the build, I needed to place in some dirt pads. These dirt pads are where the pumpkins and melons are actually going to be growing, and the pistons above will come down and break those melons and pumpkins once they have grown. As you can see, I'm just kind of swimming around in the dirt to place these melons and pumpkin seeds down. And then once completed with that, I just need to go around with some glass to block the whole thing in. With that being said, the redstone farm is completed, and now it's time to build some buildings around them. Well, with the farms done, like I said, we need to actually build some buildings around these things. Because right now they're not very pretty. They don't really fit in with my building style. I'm definitely going to try to build it somewhat alike the bee building over there, just because I try to keep the same theme throughout the village, or at least this area, because over there looks much different than that. Let's kick off the time lapse though. These seeds are going to take so long to grow. Well, the pumpkin and melon building is completely finished up. I definitely went out of my comfort zone when it came to building this thing, but I'm super happy I did. I tried to two-tone the building by using some non-strip spruce right there, and then some strip spruce right here. I also did different colors, that is orange and some red sand, and that is mud and normal terracotta. And this thing took me forever to build. The actual structure itself didn't take very long. What took so long was that roof. I just could not figure out a good design for it. Both of the roofs overlap right in the middle, and so when it came to building it, I kept overthinking it, and I ended up just going with a really simple design. That turned out great, or at least I hope. I'm also super glad that I built these farms before I built the buildings, because I've been getting a bunch of pumpkins and a ton of melons, which I've already started crafting into full melon blocks, because these slices take up so much room. I mean, this chest was almost full. There is a few more things I want to do to this building and the area around it, because like I said, I do want to do a pumpkin patch around this, and then I think I also kind of want to add in a tower, but that's gonna have to wait until later into today's episode. I think I need a little break from those buildings. It's nighttime though, so let's go sleep. So next up, I actually want to build a pathway going all the way up to the train station, because as of right now, the bridge just kind of runs directly into the mountain. So I'm thinking if I kind of dig out this area right here and then have the pathway curve around like this, and then build a pretty cool bridge that goes from right here all the way up there. And once up top, that pretty much brings us right to the base of the train station. Actually, I want to see how many villagers are in here. I haven't been up here in a while. Yep, just as I thought, I am too far out of range for this thing to actually produce villagers. There was 2 right there though, which is not bad. But let's get to building this pathway. So first things first, I got started with working on the area down below, since there's going to be a bridge after this. It was pretty easy to do, and I just did my classic terraforming method. With that all complete, it is time to move on to building a bridge. Or at least I think so. Well, I ended up deciding on not building a bridge. I thought it'd be way cooler to build a natural path going up the mountainside. Little did I know, I was giving myself so much more work to do. At the beginning, it felt easy, but as I got further along, it started to feel like it was gonna take a long time. I got the front cliff all finished up, and then I started working on the cliff behind it. There's definitely a lot more work to do, but for now, I'm thinking it's looking pretty good. With that being said, I continued to push on and started to do a little bit more terraforming and finishing up the cliff sides. They were a little squared off, so I decided to round them off a little bit and then bring in some hanging dirt with some trapdoors. I like the trapdoors because it kind of gives it the look of almost the trapdoors are holding the dirt from falling over the cliffside. Like usual, I brought in some leaves and a bunch of bone meal, and then also brought in some lanterns because, you know, the place has got to be lit. I don't want to get blown up by a creeper. Just like that, we have a pathway going from the mud bridge down here that slowly traverses its way up the mountain to the glorious train station. Well, I don't know if it's that glorious. It's kind of made out of brick and granite, but it does have a villager breeder below it, which obviously seems to be working. I got to do more with this thing. I really wanted to make a subway system that connects all the way back up with the starter village, but I really just haven't gotten to it. I think that's going to be one of our first projects to do after the world tour episode. And I got some really, really cool ideas in mind. Like really, really cool. Well, I don't know if they're that cool, but to me, they seem pretty cool. All right, enough cools. Too cool for school. Too cool to go in the pool. I think I'm going to take a little break from building because I've done a ton of it so far. So first, I'm going to go empty out my inventory, and then I think I want to go get some levels and try to enchant a fishing rod. You can get tons of goodies from fishing, especially if you have the good enchantments, and it can be used for a good relaxing time when I feel like I've burnt myself out on building. Don't worry, I don't think I could ever do that. All right, I got 3 fishing rods made just in case I want to combine a few of them, but now I'm just going to sit down at the skeleton spawner and get up to level 30 a few times. I think the enchantment setup is still down here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I never took it back up. Well, the waiting game shall begin. Well, I do think fishing is now one of my favorite things to do. I mean, I spent 15 minutes fishing and look at all these goodies we got. I got 3 saddles, 2 name tags, a bunch of raw cod, this really good enchanted book, but I did not get these fishing rods or the bow and arrows from fishing. I actually enchanted this one first, got Unbreaking 3, and so I went to enchant the second one and I got Unbreaking 3 and Luck of the Sea 2. Now, when I went to go do the third one, it said I was going to get Leer 2, but I ended up getting all 3 combined. So these can just kind of be our backups for now. Besides that though, I am running out of food. But I have a plan. But before we can conduct that plan, I'm actually gonna cook these 32 raw cod that I got just to hold myself off for the time being. Because right now I'm eating some carrots, and man, these things absolutely suck. You guys might be wondering what this plan consists of. Well, last episode we talked how I was having the hardest time getting some chickens up here. Well, I ended up getting 3 more, and I am getting a ton of eggs. And then earlier today, I built a pumpkin farm and melon farm, but the melons have nothing to do with this. If I mix a pumpkin, an egg, and some sugar, I can get myself some pumpkin pie. And pumpkin pie happens to be one of the best food sources in the game. So that means I have a consistent source of 2 of the items I'm gonna need. Now, the issue with all this, when I was making my enchantment setup, I think I used all my sugarcane. So before we can do anything, I actually need to go collect up some sugarcane. Unless I have some in here. I got some bamboo. Any sugarcane? All right, it seems I have no sugarcane to my name. So I'm gonna take Bravo and run down the coast, and hopefully I can find some sugarcane. Oh, horses and water do not mix well. Oh, and it looks like we got sugarcane right there. All right, I'm gonna try going as quick as possible so Bravo doesn't run away. I got myself 15 sugarcane and Bravo did not run away, which is great because it seems I always lose this horse. I would like to find a few more sugarcane just so I can have a better start to a farm, but I'm not really seeing any close by. I do see a bee though. I do like bees. Well, this should be enough sugarcane to start an actual sugarcane farm. And no, this isn't going to be any automatic sugarcane farm, just a basic one. But back to the plan. So off to the left side of the bee apiary, which would be right over here, there's a massive chunk of land that needs to be developed just a little bit. And so I'm thinking I can build a small building that can house a bunch of our pumpkins, a bunch of eggs, and then also have a sugarcane farm next to it. Nothing too crazy though, just one to get the job done. First off, I'm gonna place some sugarcane along the coast just so I can get a little bit more than 15 because I'd like to have at least a stack. Next up, I'm gonna get a couple of blocks thrown together just so I can build this small building and then create a nice little pathway. And also the sugarcane farm. What are you doing up there, buddy? Don't fall off that edge. I don't think you'll survive that. First off, I got some trees cleared out to have some good room to build. Next up, I started to build a solid foundation for this pumpkin pie factory. It's gonna be quite a large building, so I wanna make sure it looks solid. I decided that I wanted to build a windmill to be built so it could act as a power supply to the pie production factory. This building is obviously gonna be textured with some plain terracotta and packed mud. Going up a solid 10 blocks high should be good enough to make sure I have some clearance for the windmill blades. But before I do that, I need to build a small structure that will hold the pie production area since the inside of the windmill will obviously not be big enough. Once complete, I began working on the tower and windmill blades itself. I always have a hard time building these windmills, so I decided to take a scroll on the internet and I came across this one. I liked it because it wasn't too big, but big enough to fit the building size. After that, I started working on some small touch-ups around the area to really bring out some strong details and to set it apart from other builds. Now, the first big detail I want to add is I want to bring this entire area down 1 block. With that complete, I need to start replacing all of this dirt with some stripped oak logs. Next up, I want to build a small little patio that kind of wraps around the front side of this building. With the wood added, now I want to come in with some walls, specifically cobblestone and some mossy cobble. That should be perfect. I just got to clear a little gap for some stairs to go through. And now I have a nice little walkway up to the front door. Make sure to obviously add some lanterns, and then the fence post and the leaves. Now, one of the last things I want to add in is a chicken pen. So first off, I'm just going to go through and replace some of this area with coarse and rooted dirt. Not all of it though, because I want to make sure the chickens have something to feed on, hypothetically. Now to add in the chicken coop itself, I'm just going to take a bunch of trapdoors, surround it nearly completely, bring in some slabs, get rid of the dirt, and then I got to go grab some rails for a little ramp going into there. And one of the last things I need to do is add in a chimney or 2. Bring these guys up a few blocks. And that's too high. Let's go down 1 more. Place in the campfires, add some slabs, and then bring in the trapdoors. And perfect timing for night to fall. I'm gonna go sleep real quick. And for the final touch of this building, I need to bring in some bone meal, which I have so much of because of all the grinding down at the skeleton spawner. And just like that, the building is pretty much complete, besides the inside. I'll worry about that one later. From the back of the building, we have a bunch of weird shapes, which is perfect. Ooh, we do have a gap right there. I gotta fill that. Maybe I can bring in a slab like so. And then on this side of the building, I have a large windmill, which I absolutely love. I think this building is a pretty solid size because the bee apiary right over there is pretty large, and I really didn't want to dwarf it at all, so I decided to go a little bit smaller, which I think was perfect. Next up, I want to take a little break from building since I've been doing so much of it. And oh man, that windmill looks awesome from this angle. So I'm gonna head up to the little sheep pen, collect up some wool, and I think we should head into the nether and try to do some more netherite mining. And hopefully I won't explode myself this time. Luckily, the color of the bed doesn't matter, so we can make some orange beds and also some white beds. And I should get a decent amount of wool from this. Well, I've got a bunch of beds made, and I got some extra white wool and some extra orange wool so I can make some more beds if need be, which means it's time to head to the bottom of the nether. Oh wait, I don't have a nether portal anymore. I should probably rebuild that one real quick. Well, it seems I've lost most of my obsidian. I have 5 on me, but I need 5 more to at least build a basic nether portal. So with that being said, I'm gonna head down to the bottom of the world and hopefully go collect up some more obsidian, because I want that netherite. Well, I am now down at the bottom of the nether, which means it is time to do some netherite mining. Let's cue the time lapse. I feel like I don't even die from the explosions, more so just the actual fire itself. Well, from that little expedition, we got 6 more ancient debris, which should bring us up to a total of 19. Now, I'm pretty sure I need 32 of them, so we're definitely making some progress. Besides that though, my friends, it seems I have run out of time for today's episode. I think this episode is the most progress we have definitely gotten done in this world. I mean, we built up an automatic pumpkin and melon farm and some awesome buildings around them. Also did a bunch of terraforming over at the village transformation, which is just getting started. Trust me, I have a bunch of work I gotta do over there and some really big plans. We also built up a windmill that is gonna house our pumpkin pie factory. And yes, I know, we never got to the pumpkin patch. Well, luckily we have 1 more week until Halloween, so that's just gonna have to wait till the world tour episode. Obviously, this world isn't huge yet, so I don't think I can dedicate an entire episode towards a world tour. So we are definitely gonna be doing some building at the beginning of the episode, hopefully to expand the base. Besides that though, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for all the love and support, and I will see you guys in the next episode.